Hey, good day, everybody. Let me try to um, hit one of our key points here in the first module, which essentially is for you to have a good working knowledge, a good conceptual understanding of what is leadership, what is management. Are they distinct? Are they the same? Are school administrators leaders or are they managers? Are they both? Is one better than the other? This is a very appropriate topic and one of certainly our key objectives here for Module 1. Let's take a look at this concept again of leadership and management. Start kind of dicing this up, distill this down, see what we can come up with. But when you do a lot of reading in this area, as I have, and actually just keep your ears open and watch what's going on in our evaluation instruments, in job descriptions, those type of things, you see there's really a distinction in most people's minds between leading and managing, although I'm not sure that they fully understand the distinction, but it is clear that the two concepts are viewed as distinct and different. I would argue in many ways they are the same, but there are distinctions. So I wouldn't argue that point. If it's possible for something to be the same and different, I think maybe this in part could meet that definition. I think it's evident that to be a school administrator, you need skills of a leader and skills of a manager, and to be extremely successful as a school administrator, you need a lot of both of these. But let's just state the obvious. Every human being is different. They have a different set of experiences, a different set of strengths, a different set of skills and preferences. Not everybody in school administration is going to be a great leader, or conversely, not everybody's going to be a great manager. But I think for the most part, you need to be able to draw upon some element of leadership skills, some element of management skills to be successful as a school administrator in the 21st century. If you would just pay attention to your environment and kind of take it all in with this mindset of trying to get a sense of leading and managing, you're going to clearly see that leadership is given more cachet right now, that somebody who can call herself a leader is viewed by many as that's a more desirable outcome than somebody calling herself a manager. Being a manager somehow seems to have a negative connotation now, particularly in educational leadership. So if you want to be considered on the cutting edge and in the 21st century, you want to call yourself a leader. Clearly, management is being viewed as some people that can't lead, they manage in some sense. If you look at job descriptions for assistant principals, and certainly for principals, certainly for superintendents of school, you'll see a lot of emphasis in those job descriptions on leadership, much less emphasis on management. If you looked at the firms that go out and do the hiring of superintendents, they charge a lot of money to lead these searches, and they write these fancy job descriptions and desirable characteristics, and they have these community meetings. Again, it's probably 4-to-1 leadership over management in terms of if you were to classify those skills that they say that they're looking for, it's leadership, probably 4 out of every 5 skills. Management seems to be a naughty word, I guess, right now. In Georgia, our LAPS, our evaluation system for administrators, clearly emphasizes leadership. I would say I think there's like 7 or 8 LAPS areas on our Georgia leader keys and leader evaluation system. Like 7 out of the 8, I think, are almost predominantly leadership elements that are being measured and evaluated and given importance. And this course is called Instructional Leadership. Instructional Leadership would clearly be in the leadership side. Our program for Tier 1 certification is heavily tilted toward leadership, and we really only address management strongly in one course, other than what we're talking about in this course. So with that as a backdrop, I would submit, however, that a poor manager is going to show up very quickly, and that's the kind of stuff that can get you fired. For example, if you have trouble getting the kids in the school safely because your parking lot's a disaster, or your bus loading area is a disaster and it's unsafe for families or for children. Kids don't get any lunch because you had a ridiculously stupid lunch schedule and the food wasn't cooked or whatever. Those are the kind of things that are obvious right away, are wrong, and those are the kind of things that are easy for the community and parents and kids to understand that, gee, we have a principal or an assistant principal here that doesn't know what she's doing or doesn't know what he's doing because blah, blah, blah. So we ignore management, I guess is my point. We ignore it at our own peril, because particularly early in your career as an administrator, when you often are tasked with a lot of management responsibilities, if you do those poorly, you're in trouble. So I just kind of wanted to finish these last two slides with painting a little bit of a picture of what leading would look like and what managing might look like in a school. The leading piece we have here on the left side, almost always as you think of leading, you're thinking of leading another person or group of people. So usually involves people. Usually you have a sense of motivating people, inspiring people, getting people energized. Those are all considered like leadership characteristics, leadership skills. Leading often requires change. Again, getting people motivated to try something new or something different, or to do more of something or less of something. But nonetheless, change is often tied into leadership skills. You often see vision listed in job descriptions and in desirable characteristics that you're looking for in leaders. Those would be considered leading. Again, getting people motivated around a certain vision, a certain mission of what you're trying to accomplish. Leading is often futuristic, getting people to focus forward. What do we want to be in the future? How are we going to get there? Those kinds of conversations, getting people thinking about that, getting people heading in those directions, that's considered leadership. Getting people on board for initiatives and ideas, those are considered leadership skills. Creating something new and innovative, perhaps, those are considered leadership skills. If you haven't noticed, there's a lot of themes here, but certainly strong interpersonal skills would seem to be a necessity to be an effective leader. If you're not a people person, it seems that you would be very difficult road to hoe to be an effective leader. I think we can contrast that with the management side of the school. It's really the functioning, the operations of the school, the running of the things, making sure the bells ring on time, or the playground has supervision, the cafeteria has supervision, the schedules for everything all day, the special schedule, the schedule to go see the nurse, the schedule for the parent meeting, the procedures in the school, the discipline procedures, that would be considered managing. Probably disciplining the children would be considered a management function, although that's where we could probably see some crossover back to leading, because discipline could turn into an opportunity to try to motivate students to do better or counsel students. So there could be some leading elements in discipline, but I think most people would look at discipline or student management as management. Planning for the school, kind of planning the functions of the school, would probably be considered management. But if you were planning some new kinds of initiatives or ways to move the school forward into a new direction, that element of planning might be leading. So again, I hope you have a mental picture that there are two distinct set of skills here, but I hope you can begin to see there's a lot of crossover back and forth. But if you're a person who likes to do paperwork and work on schedules and things like that, that falls more here on our right side of our management piece. And the person who really loves working with people, inspiring people, that generically fits more on our leading side. But again, I think you can see an administrator really needs some of both of those, most definitely. So just one quick last bite of the apple. I think it's just a repetition, kind of putting it all together. Again, a very basic summarization here. So the managing work in a school looks more like building a master schedule, supervising a parking lot, putting a cafeteria schedule together. Managing the budget might also fall here. I didn't put budget in here. Putting the budget together, if you're trying to do it in some new and inspirational way, might be a leadership skill, but just making sure the right codes get put, you're using the correct accounting codes when you're spending money out of the budget, that would be a management function. And the leading would look more like a new reading program, like getting the teachers on board for that, getting the teachers ready to do that, getting the teachers energized behind that. A new vision, motivating students, motivating teachers, that would be considered more of the leadership skills. So I think it's useful for us to think of these as distinct, but yet also think very clearly of opportunities where this would cross back and forth. And the school safety plan, I think, would be an example of that. Putting the plan together in a basic way, I think, would be managing. But if you really were innovative in your planning and really went out there and brought in some of the newest ideas and worked hard on implementing that and getting people to really buy into your safety plan, it might also have elements of leadership in it. So I'm trying to point out it could cross across both skills, managing and leading. But the point is, I think as a leader who wants to be successful in a school in the 21st century, got to be able to do both.